Hi guys, today we're going to be talking about how to fill a raised garden bed from scratch without breaking the bank. Because if you've ever filled a raised garden bed, you know that you always need more soil than you think you'll need, and it can get really expensive really quickly. I'm Brittany from By Brittany Goldwyn. I post videos about plants and projects, and all of my raised garden beds in my garden are from the company Vego Garden. They are raised metal bottomless beds, and I've purchased most of them myself. The company's also sent me a couple of them, and they sent me the bed that we are going to be working with today to walk through the process so you can see exactly how beginner-friendly and easy to use these beds are. Now, I've already put my bed together, including adding some extension panels. Now, this is the 10-in-1 bed that you can assemble to multiple different configurations, but I have it assembled to the 2.5-foot wide configuration here with 2 sets of extension panels. And since the bed is so long, I've already added in all of the required bracing rods to stabilize everything. So let's get started with the first step, which is lining the bottom with cardboard. So I like to lay down a few layers of cardboard on the bottom of each of my beds because all of them have gone in over existing turf grass, including this one. As you can see here, since the beds are bottomless, you can see through to the bottom and you can see all of the grass that we're putting it on top of. Laying down a thick layer of cardboard will help to smother out the turf grass and any weeds and weed seeds that might be hiding down there. Now, the cardboard will degrade over time, so it's a better choice to use than something like landscaping fabric, which I really only like to use if I'm doing some sort of gravel path or pavers, and I know I'm not going to be planting somewhere. By the time the cardboard degrades, you won't need to worry about it blocking out any grass or weeds because they should be long gone by that point. And I'll also be sheet mulching around the outside of this bed to connect it to the rest of the raised bed garden area here, but I'm going to wait until it warms up a bit to do that. And I'll just use the same method of laying down thick cardboard and piling mulch on top of it. All right, now that we're done lining the base with cardboard, it's time for the next layer. For this one, I like to use random yard waste from around my yard, sticks, old logs, things like that, and fill up a couple inches on top of the cardboard. And if you have any half-used compost, I would dump that in at this point as well. So we have these 3 geo bins back here in our backyard that we dump yard waste into. We do have a double barrel compost tumbler that we use for the majority of our kitchen scraps, but when that gets full, we'll dump them back here. We've thrown some leaves in here, just other random stuff. Now, our double barrel composter, one side is completely done, the other side is not done yet, so I will just dump all of that into the bed at this point and scoop out some of the stuff from our half-done bins in the backyard. All right, so I've got a wheelbarrow full of sticks and random yard waste and all sorts of stuff here that I'm gonna start just throwing in pretty much at random into the bed here to create our next layer. And one of the things I love the most about Vego beds is that they help you create the canvas essentially for great drainage in your garden. So they're bottomless, meaning they're open to the ground, and adding in several different layers of organic material like all of these sticks and half-used compost and yard waste and all of the stuff we'll add in the next step, it really helps to create a really dynamic, diverse baseline for your garden. Not to mention the beds hold up really, really well to the elements, unlike wooden beds, which I have had in the past, and nothing against wooden beds. They're fine, they're certainly cheaper, but I found that I was having to redo my wooden beds way more often than I really wanted to. So going with an option like the Vego raised beds is going to help you get much more life out of your garden beds over time. All right, here's where we stand after dumping in some yard waste, some random sticks, half-used compost. So far, we have spent $0 filling this bed. The only thing it has cost us is our dignity, picking up all of our neighbors' yard waste last fall. All right, now we're going to be moving on to adding leaves. We're using leaves for the next layer because when leaves are fully composted, they provide a super rich source of nutrients for your plants. People pay good money for leaf compost, so if you can get your hands on some leaves and make your own, that's a great idea. Now, all the bags that we're going to be using to empty into these beds are bags that we did pick up from neighboring neighborhoods' yard waste days last fall. We generally leave any leaves that fall in our yard where they are, but we don't have very many mature trees, so we don't have many leaves to begin with. But some of the neighborhoods around us have HOAs that require them to bag up their leaves for yard waste day, which is weekly throughout the spring, summer, and fall. So we just stockpile the bags of leaves and bring them home to sit throughout the winter. Now, these leaves will degrade over time and turn into a super rich organic soil-like matter that your plants will absolutely love. Now, since it's only February here in Maryland Zone 7, I'm actually going to pause the filling process for a week or two after I finish this step, because I kind of want the leaves to be exposed to a little bit more of the elements to break down just a little bit more before I finish things off and to settle some in that bed. Maybe even get a little bit of rain or some snow and melting to help speed along the process. But before I do that, remember, we've spent $0 so far. I'm going to take a step that's going to bring us up to $1. And after I put the leaves on, I will dump a bucket of raised bed soil on, which brings us up to $1. Now, if you're wondering where I got raised bed soil for that cheap, I will walk you through that process once we finish off filling the very top of the bed with our raised bed soil. All right, I am checking back in a couple of days later on a super windy day, but it is above freezing. In traditional Maryland fashion, we had a couple days of snow, ice, rain, and now it's like 55 degrees out. So all of my bags of soil are currently unfrozen, so I figured I'd take the opportunity, even though it is crazy windy today, to dump the rest of them in the bed before they refreeze tonight. Now, you'll also see that I did add about another inch or so of leaves just to make up for the space that settled after all the snow and ice. Now, this layering technique is going to help with aeration, keeping the mixture light and fluffy in your raised bed, which is exactly what you want for optimal root development. I generally just go with something like an all-purpose raised bed soil or a bagged leafed compost for my raised beds, but you can adjust that based on whatever your growing needs are. So our total money spent for filling this bed is probably going to come out to around $10. And that's because each of these bags of soil we got on a closeout sale last fall at Home Depot for $1 each. There was nothing wrong with these bags of soil. They just needed to get rid of the inventory for all of their holiday stuff coming in. So we went and bought as many bags as we could fit in our car, knowing that we would need to top off our existing beds, fill up some pots, fill up a new green stalk, and then potentially add in a new bed as well. And that wraps up my tutorial on how I am saving big money filling my brand new supersized Vego garden bed. If you have any questions about this method, please feel free to drop them in the comments. Otherwise, it's a bit cold now, so I'm going to go inside and do an update video in the future about what exactly I'm going to be planting in my brand new supersized Vego bed. Until then, happy planting.